Bonjour. Merci pour Vienne. Nous sommes en Paris. C'est fantastique. C'est formidable. Je suis Francine Ballard, and I'm Francine Ballard, and I am the founder and CEO of House of No, formerly House of Web3.
And I'm Ashumi Sanghvi. I'm the founder and CEO of Mad Global and Future Plus.
And we're here to talk today about the new age of influence, sort of the creator economy and brands and how consumers are using new channels to reach their customer.
I'm really thrilled to be here today to talk about this. So when I launched Future Plus last year, I launched it in partnership with Samsung during NFT NYC. And just over the course of 1 year, we have done several events where we've onboarded a lot of members into the Future Plus platform, primarily for the reason that we saw working and having an agency for 15 years at the intersection of creative and technology. The industries are moving so quickly, and a lot of the brands that we work with, especially across fashion and luxury, we're finding it very difficult to keep up with a very, very rapidly evolving technology landscape. And that's primarily what we're here to do. We're facilitators to build bridges across both sides of the spectrum. And I'm thrilled to be in conversation with you, Francine, because you have very early on, actually, also started House of Web3. And I think understanding the commerce piece in the community is also really important. So I'd love to also understand your perspective on how you did that.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's been an interesting journey, I should say. We've rebranded and pivoted many times, more than I can count. But all to say that I was very fortunate to be in the space at 2021 and learned about NFTs and understood the power of the track and trace technology that you're able to now attach to a product. So in that way, we started initially via outreach to artists and started to rapidly build a community, which I think was the most interesting thing to me, because when I got into the space, there were no women in the space. So I just felt that I had to find other people who were interested in the space, but didn't necessarily have the way to connect. And I think that's really the most important thing, and what has carried me through is finding like-minded individuals. And I feel like that's a trend that continues and will continue, because we're no longer in the age of influence where, you know, the influencer on Instagram that has 1 million followers and posts pictures in her bathing suit drinking a latte is interesting or important. It's much smaller, I'd say, more niche. And I didn't intend to create the community that we have now, but it just happened that way. We tokenized our membership about a year and a half ago. And I've been really just kind of surprised by how much people were looking for that connection. Mm-hmm. And I think that versus the old way that people consumed media, you know, omni-channel, and it's just very different. It's very hard to reach consumers now. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to reach consumers, and it's you have to go to where they are in these little micro communities. And so that's what happened with us organically. We just kind of sprung up from going to events like these and meeting people like you, and very similar to what you've done with Future Plus. It's just very, very organic, and we have a very tight-knit community. And there is a sense of belonging for all of us. And that's very powerful. And that's what brands are now trying to tap into, is, you know, rather than having people follow them, have them join them and really understand and appreciate the aesthetic, but also be a part of the community. And that's what people call the creative economy.
Yeah, and actually I'm seeing, you know, the power in these communities also lies in, of course, a lot of collaboration that happens.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen that, of course, with projects that you've done. We have Louise, of course, in the audience, and she's very much part of our community as well as yours. And, you know, I think the power of collaboration is so incredible when you bring these like-minded people together that are also coming from diverse industries and diverse perspectives. And they've managed to do like fantastic projects together. And the brands that we work with all do want to kind of become part of that in some sense as well. So, you know, we've doing, I'm seeing quite a lot of that happen for some of the projects that we've been working with as well with the digital tokenized membership model.
Well, you're filling such a void with what you do, because what I realized early on was the bigger brands, and coming from, you know, I was a fashion editor in my former role, is that the brands want to connect with Web3 and they're looking for a way in. And then on the other side, there's all these incredible creators and talent that want to connect on that level with a brand. And it's such a shame to waste all of that talent. And so what you're really doing is acting as a conduit to both. Because your members consist of, you know, people at both big brands, and then individuals who have kind of come up in the last 2 or 3 years that are doing really interesting things in this space. And I think that's what's so unique about your community. And I don't know if any of you were here, but Ashumi hosted, she is by far one of the most talented event producers I have ever met. And she's hosted a one-day speaker panel symposium on Thursday at the hotel, what was it called? Marwa. And it was actually incredible. I actually was introducing a lot of the speakers, but I heard someone say over a cocktail in the next room that, yeah, it's incredible who's on the stage, and we had a lot of people who were speaking here at NFT Paris. She had the biggest names in the industry, and certainly in fashion, and people from brands and technologists. But the audience was so good. I mean, everyone sitting in the audience listening to these people talk was equally as important and interesting. And so the networking that happened in that one day, it was sort of miraculous to witness, because it was such a curated group that it didn't really matter who was sitting and where you were sitting. You were gaining something from being there. And that's the goal, I think. That's the ultimate goal, and that's what we're all trying to accomplish. Again, whether you're on the creator side or you're on the brand side, I think, you know, Web3 has hit several speed bumps the last 2-3 years, but it's here to stay. And that's the thing, is like everyone's building. They might be building slowly, quietly, but everyone's quietly building towards this eventuality, which is one that, you know, we're all connected. And there is that commonality. There is that
and I think what we found as well is that most people that are in this space now, as the space is getting more mature, want access. They want access to curated thought leadership. They want access to events and experiences. They want access to network, you know, and that's, I think, really important, especially when you're bringing creative industries together with technology. I think it's important to kind of make sure that you're meeting people where they're at.
Yeah, you're sort of 10xing your power base with a community like Ashumi's, because, you know, if probably a lot of people in this room have done NFT projects or blockchain projects and understand that nothing ever goes to plan. And it's really difficult sometimes to explain that to a brand, that you just can't prepare enough, because no matter how well you prepare, there's always something unexpected that comes up. And the technology is so new, it's constantly evolving. And I think one of the biggest challenges is, no matter how good you are, is staying current with that technology, and you're constantly chasing it. So from a brand perspective, it's very difficult to do that full time when you're also brand building. And so what you do so well is like connect these people so that, in a sense, like all of their learning becomes your learning. And so it can be very effective in terms of, you know, when you're trying to build a project, is like, okay, I know David Cash, and we've worked on many, many projects together. He's worked on so many other projects, and he brings all of that learning. And that learning, you can't learn it in school. So the brightest people and the best people in this business right now are self-taught for the most part, which is a very unique time in history if you think about that. because Web3 is so new, and crypto, all of it, crypto's not new, but like the application of blockchain and the application of NFTs and the application of all of this technology, it's really, really, really fresh. And it's something that the world has never seen. And so it really is such a tiny little insular world that has this true experience and knowledge base. It's incredibly valuable to be able to connect and intrinsically all together versus just one-on-one.
Absolutely, like curate the experience is, I think, what we are here to do, and bring the right people together, the right communities together, and really provide that value back, you know. Instead, we have seen a lot of people who come into the space just to extract that value, and we're actually looking at it from the other side. We want to give that value back, and that's why the community is very curated. It's all application-based. We want to make sure that people have an extremely seamless experience, IRL and URL.
So what are you thinking for the next year to 3 years? It's hard to predict, but where do you think the platform will end up?
So I think definitely short term, we're going to be focusing on a couple of key creative tech events that we will be having quite a big presence at. We'll be rolling out Codes of Culture, which is our event series. And then we're definitely also going to be working across building the actual platform. You know, I think when we were talking to our product team about what that platform should really enable and should really do, it was along the lines of, if you were sitting with someone and having a meeting, or someone who knew you very well and said, oh, you know, I would love to, this is what I'm working on, and the person sitting across you says, oh, I think I can introduce you to XYZ because they would be really valuable and beneficial to what it is you're doing. That's what we want, and that's what we're building the platform to power. AI-powered connections, which will be intuitive and iterative, value-driven as well, and all based on psychometrics. So the platform will understand more about who you are, where you're going, and who you should be connected to. And it's all, of course, for facilitating the ecosystem.
That's so exciting. And I can't wait to see how it grows. You've already, in such a short time, done so much with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to know more about Future Plus, you can follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn, but also find us on futureplus.xyz. Thank you.